please join us on the stage.
So we leave you, start your keynote, and have a nice day, everybody, and we'll see each other later. Please.
Bonjour, mesdames et messieurs. Je parle un petit français, je prends le français.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I work today at Vendai, and today I will have a speech in English.
Okay.
Just position that for you. Okay.
What I'd like to do is to talk about what's possible. And we're going to be talking about big dreams. And Europe has 27 languages. It's such a pleasure to be in a place where people understand every day the fact that they are confronting other languages. In the United States, everyone thinks everyone either speaks English or should speak English. That is very far from the truth. Nelson Mandela said, if you talk to a man in a language he understands, it talks to his head. If you talk to him in his own language, it talks to his heart. Each of us, when they're creating stories, motivation, learning, training, wants to speak to people's heart. You want to engage your audience. There's 7.2 billion people on the planet that speak 6,800 languages. And video, the subject of this conference, is going to be representing 85% of all internet bandwidth in 2018. In the world today, 26% of all adults are illiterate. So speaking to them in video is one way to communicate, and of those illiterate people, 2/3 of them are women. There's a huge amount of work that needs to go on with gender equality. So my life is dedicated to language-enabling media, language-enabling video. When you create video in Europe, it can be easily, quickly, and inexpensively made in European languages before you create the budget. And this is what we should be talking about. Mr. Willy Brandt, from your neighbor in Germany, said, if I'm speaking to you, if I'm selling to you, I speak your language. If I'm buying, dann müssen Sie Deutsch sprechen. It's very important to speak other languages. Just very, very quickly, because I have a few minutes. Dotsub, a company which is my 9th startup. I thought it was my last startup. I've started 3 others since then. We do business with a lot of the major brands in the world, as you can see. How did I get here? Very, very quickly. When I was 23 years old, I started doing business in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, had 4,000 employees. Fast forward to the first American in Mexico before NAFTA, first American in Hungary, Azerbaijan, Jordan. I had factories all over the world employing thousands of people making T-shirts. And in 2004, I came up with the aha moment, or the lightning bolt, when I saw the movie Fahrenheit 9/11. When I left that movie, which was about trying to change the outcome of presidential election with Mr. Bush and Mr. Kerry, I said, wow, how in the world can one film in English maybe changes the outcome of a US presidential election? Maybe I can create a technology to do that in the world. And for all of you entrepreneurs in the audience, I had all of the perfect requirements to do this business. I knew nothing about technology, I knew nothing about film, I knew nothing about language, and I knew nothing about translation. And because I knew nothing about it, I was trying to solve a major problem in the world. How do you get 7 billion people to connect with each other and make them understand after people were flying planes into the World Trade Center? Obviously, there's a major bit of communication problem. So what I've been asked to do is to preface a panel about audience engagement. And I want to show you some real live examples of what global audiences did on their own. This is a 2-hour documentary film called The Zeitgeist Addendum. It was put on our site, Dotsub, which has a couple of, it's not a site like YouTube or Vimeo or Dailymotion. It just has people who want to translate. And it is in English. It has just coincidentally been viewed 1.1 million times. And if you take a look at the languages in which it was viewed 87% of the time in languages other than English, because it could be. So if you think about this, a film, only 13% of the views were in the language in which it was made. How many of you think about that? You could have an order of magnitude more views in other languages if you thought about it. Here's something very, very close to Europe. Several years ago, a German television station did an expose about a scandal in Brussels where EU members were being paid to go to Parliament in EU, and as you can see, they did not show up. So it was a very short video in German on TV in Germany that got very, very little viewing. Once again, the market started subtitling it in Czech. And then it went into Slovakian, German, French, and other languages virally. No predetermined notions. And in 4 months, that video was viewed 3.3 million times and generated $11,000 in Google AdSense revenue. So if you think about it, a short video in its native language, German, went nowhere. But when neighboring countries saw it on their own using our technology, found interest in it, it got 3.3 million views and generated $11,000 of revenue in 4 months. If you multiply that times the hundreds of thousands of videos, there's an opportunity for a huge amount of global impact and a huge amount of revenue that no one in this room is thinking about. Now, I think if you talk about why do people volunteer and do things on the web, in social media, in Twitter, in Facebook, in Instagram, and all of the new emerging things, they're human beings and they are looking for 2 things from their volunteer work online, tweeting. They're looking for what I call the 2 R's, recognition and reward. Now, a company that you very well know of called Adobe, one of the major large technology company in the world, has a site called Adobe TV, has 16,000 videos, and it enables its audience to do the subtitling in multiple languages on its own. Here's the Adobe TV site. It has a picture of the leading translators, and if you can take a look at this, the leading translator spent 270 to 400 hours of their time getting involved because they wanted to. And they earned Adobe TV points, so you can create a virtual gamification currency to reward your fans and your loyal people. How would global healthcare knowledge change if big pharmaceutical companies could pay part of medical school students' tuition to encourage them to translate important medical videos in local languages? All of you know about SEO. Here, with the interactive transcript, you can read 5 times as fast as you can watch a video. So if you have a transcript in a multiple language, in addition to title and metadata, you can do text-based search. So you can find videos, locate videos, and serve up ads and videos and views, order of magnitudes faster in multiple languages. I always say if a picture is worth 1,000 words, how many words is a video worth? This is a partnership we have with Publicis Healthcare in the healthcare space. It's the world's first multilingual video portal in healthcare and pharmaceutical. I'd like to close with something that's very near and dear to your heart. When you make Hollywood films, it costs about $1 million per minute. If you're making broadcast television, $250,000 to $750,000, agency branding, and value-added content with most of the people in this room are making, where you have a script writer, a cameraman, a lighting man, an audio man, and an editor. However you cut the cookie, it takes about $2,000 to $5,000 per video minute to have that finished video. If you spent 1.5% to 3.5% in addition before you started, you could have that video professionally done in 5 European languages of your choice. If you spent 3 to 9%, you could have that video made in 12 languages, representing 85% of the internet-connected world. Think about that. Instead of making your media, spending and overspending your budget, and then having to raise other money to do it, if you built it into your budget, which would be less than the coffee and bagels on your cart when you're shooting the film, you could have an order of magnitude. So what I'm saying is that's what it is, and I thank you very much.